Chapter 10. Disagreeableness. Begin all acts and thinking by using Al-Kalum the All. Tablet 1. The origin of Haylal. 19 times 13 equals 247. Lo. Haylal, who was also known as Zara, Samael and Nakash, or Kanaz, is the reptilian son of the reptilian Shakar or Tarnish, an immigrant from Maldek, which is also known as Vulcan. Tarnish was originally from Maldek, but he came to Tiamat by way of the sixth star, or sun constellation of Orion. He was also called Azazel, the scapegoat, Iblis the rebellious one, and he was also called Tarnish and Shaitan, slanderers or false accusers. Haylal was once a beautiful Anunnaki in the galactic heavens of Malakut, the realm of the Mala'ikat, but he was from the race of Jinn, and he was the son of the Anunnaki Melita and the reptilian Tarnish. His name became Azazel and Zara, for he shone as a bright light, amber in colour. His position in the galactical heavens, his beauty, his power and his final end, was the result of his great big chest full of pride. In might, he was next to my son Gabriel, who is also known as Nusku, yet not having the strength of my great son Malachi Zadok, which is another name for Melchizedek, who is also known as Michael, who is the priest of all the Anunnaki of the order of Zadok. He was also the center of Sarufat in the Anunnaki circle of Zodokites. Yet, Haylal was one of the wisest beings in the vast universe, for even I have said, Thou sealest up the sum, full of wisdom. Cunning and deceitful, yet he was wise. He was perfect in beauty and the father of vanity. He managed to live in the garden of delight in Gan, the enclosed garden that I prepared for your father Cadman, son of Autumn and Lilith, and your mother Nekeba, daughter of Fatar and Aneth. Yes, he was deceptive in my very own enclosed garden. He is the father of swooning, Persuasion, the whisperer. In music they call him Ban or Pan, Dionysus or Funnus. The pipe is his sound, and he has the tabaret. Yet I created him of power, and by my light he became fire, son of Shakar, who is Tarnish, the son of Zu, who is the father of evil, who is also known as Humbaba. He caused one third of the first state of Anunnaki to be cast from Ilion into all the universes, to live in the midst of my anointed Sarufat, the arch Anunnaki. I gave his son Haylal all his wisdom, beauty, strength and power, and his position near my throne. He was fit for the work I wished him to do, and he was good in the place I desired him to occupy, for I knowest what you do not, and I see all persons, all places, and all things. But with all these gifts as mortal, a being of solid, liquid and gas, Haylal became acting like his true nature. He became Iblis, or the rebellious one, proud of his glory, forgetting it was all a gift. His heart raised up because of his beauty, yet Michael was above him in all. He hated my grandson Michael, and he wished to be equal with me in all, saying, I will exalt my throne above the sons of Anu, Eli and Elin El. I will be the most high. But I could not permit that. That very thought by Haylal was a disagreeable thought. Not even my grandson Michael is my equal. The 200 fallen Anunnaki. Haylal had 200 of my Sarufat become Garubat, or disagreeable Anunnaki of the lesser light. They followed him to his race of Garubat, but rather 200 fallen Nephilim, fallen from grace of Sarufat to become Garubat. I sent 23 of my Sarufat Anunnaki, and in one soul called Ruach is many bodies. The others raced to the planet Earth to enlighten and to protect. Amongst my Sarufat were my rulers, the Zodokites, the 7 Arch-Anunnaki, Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, Israel, Raphael, Uziel, Samariel, and their ranks were headed by Malachi Zadok, who is Michael. Like the wind in a ship, they came down to Nasut, the realm of the human beings, also called Ardat. It is the blue planet Earth. From the planet Risk in the galaxy is Ilion, where there are 19 planets, 3 suns and 38 moons. They entered into Kanergi or Argata at the lower world, in the belly of the planet Earth, in the kingdom of the Grey, also called Shambhala. He, Haylal, was upon the holy mountain Gadash. He walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire, called Ur. After this rebellion came into the heart of Haylal, he became Iblis, for he was of the El Kafaruna of the land of Ur. He was a Chaldean, demon by nature. He went amongst the agreeable Anunnaki after I had given many of them free will, 360 degrees of knowledge, and then they took human form to work for me, but he told them his story. Many of the agreeable Anunnaki of Sarafat took his side to cover the truth. They are also called the Al-Kafiruna, living in the land of Nod, which is also called Uruk. When my son Michael came to stop him, those at his command felt strong enough to defy me, and they became the enemies of Michael and his race of Sarafat. The appointed one Michael took command of the agreeable Anunnaki, but Haylal took command of the disagreeable Anunnaki, the race of jinns now called Jinn, who had rebelled with him, thus making him Ja'an. He was determined to hold his place in the galactical heavens, to rule the 6-star constellation called Kessel Orion, and the 7-star constellation called Camet Pleiades, originally one of the adopted homes of the Riskians when they left Ilion, and the 3-star constellation called Aish Arcturus is another home of the Anunnaki. These 3 constellations are in the nebulous, and the planet Earth is in the galaxy called the Milky Way, the battleground. Then there was the war in the galactical heavens. My son Michael and his agreeable Anunnaki fought against Shakar, who is also known as Shaitan, the father of Haylal, and his jinn race called the disagreeable Anunnaki or Garubat, the Luciferians. Both agreeable and disagreeable are called Yahwehians, being the name Yahweh is Yah or Yod for the agreeable Elohim, and Way Wav, the thorn or peg for the disagreeable Elohim. Haylal and his host of jinn fought against Michael and his host of Anunnaki, but Haylal lost, and all that was left of his host of Garubat was 200. This is how it was recorded. He, Haylal, changed from a beautiful Anunnaki of light to a symbol of a dragon, a winged serpent. And he was cast out of Orion, and his jinns were cast out with him, and they were scattered amongst the different galaxies. The 1/3 of Anunnaki were cast out of the galactical heavens. Knoweth that my son Cadman, who bred his own son in his image and after his likeness, is not of us. My son, you Enoshites were beguiled, and lost your first state as Adamites in the image and after the likeness of the Anunnaki. You knew agreeable from disagreeable. You were a Noah with right knowledge. Seth, who is in tones called Sheth and in rhythm Shayith, he is like your son Enos. The Enoshites are not in the image and after the likeness of the Anunnaki as the Adamites. They are in the image and after the likeness of Cadman, after his fallen nature. I will tell you what he beguiled the Sarafat with, and what words he used. After he beguiled your mother Nekeba, female living beings have been the most beautiful and the most dangerous amongst all the creatures of the planet Earth. Her beauty and attractiveness allured male living beings, and it blinds selfish male living beings to higher and nobler things, and inclines him to forget me, Elion El. It was such a seductive influence that was exercised by the charming Nekeba. She was an agreeable and virtuous female living being who is wholly devoted to me, and she is a blessing to an agreeable male living being because she knows her position and she keeps her proper place. But he who yields to the influence of an ambitious and selfish female living being, he walks in a path that leads to degradation and death. Amongst all female living beings of your descendants are selfish, sensual, and they walk in the way of vanity. Beautiful and graceful of form, yet filled up with pride. They have an excessive desire to be noticed and to be approved by male living beings, and they do all things to be seen by man. Haylal became the opponent and the enemy of all right knowledge. Now he concluded that the time was opportune to make another move. He had begun his wicked schemes by using a female living being. Even now, he would continue to use female living beings for his nefarious purposes. During the period of 160 years since the expulsion of Cadman from Gan, only 3 male living beings have taken a firm stand for me, your creator, your father Cadman, your brother Abel, and you Seth. Haylal caused one of these people to be murdered, and the other I took away, and now there is you, my recorder. Haylal could use these circumstances for a good argument to further his wicked designs. In the galactical heavens, there was a host of 24 Sarafat. They were the sons of Anu, Elion El. These creatures would watch the course of the Earth's creation, the foundation of the planet Earth. The tablets clearly disclose the fact that the Sarafat and Garubat have had power to appear in human form. This is by my consent. When these disagreeable sons of Anu, Elion El, appeared in human form called Anakims, Gibborim or Hindus, being called Nephilim, those who fell down from grace, they were even more attractive, which made it easier for them to reproduce a race of people on the planet Earth, which he could complete completely and absolutely control. From what was transpired and is recorded, it seems to be warranted. Haylal called before him many heavenly hosts, which is also included 23 Sarufat of Anu, Elyon, Elyonel. Haylal spoke with them like this: "For some time now, you have all been watching the drama amongst men on the planet Earth. Since Anu, Elyon, Elyonel, the Most High, the Highest, assigned me to the position as Adamite's master, I possess the power of death. Anu, Elyon, Elyonel decreed that I should die, and that by the power of the seed of the female living being, such was an ideal threat by Anu, Elyon, Elyonel. Thou hast seen me, that during the past 6,000 years, the Adamites, Cadmon and Abel, have been taking the side of Anu. One of these I caused to be put to death, and El, fearing what might be done to the other one, took him away. All of the Adamites, now on Ardut, have acknowledged me as Baal, their Most High God, all the Enoshites, human beings to be born, with the one exception of the purified ones, Al-Mukhlasina. In due season I shall give my attention to them, and put them out of the way." This is what Samael said to the Sarufat: "If you hosts of Anu, Elyon, Elyonel will not join me, and give your allegiance to me, I am the God of abundance, the morning star Lucifer, Yucatan, or Guatemala, the feathered serpent. I will establish a great empire on Ardut, the blue planet Earth, and I will live with the people that are in a class which will live forever and not die. I will be called Quetzalcoatl of the Mayas and Aztecs, not of the Atlantean. I will take the form of the Garubat who guards the gates." Anu intends to use the daughters of the Adamites for some of you to mix your seed with, and then rule over the Enoshites in Nasut Ardut, the blue planet Earth. But only 23 of you shall be chosen. I, on the other hand, need many more of you, 200 in number, and we will use the female living beings of Cain to reproduce. For you seraphims of Anu, Elyon, Elyonel have the power to appear in human form. You are far greater in strength than any of the Adamites race. Your vigor is undiminished. The female living beings of Nasut are the daughters or offspring of Cadmon and Akaba. There is nothing like them in the spiritual realm Malakut, with who you could satisfy your pleasures, and you have them for wives. You can indulge in sexual pleasures. You can reproduce a race far greater than the children of Cadmon, the giants, the Anakims, the legions. These are a few of the many names. They are many in number, 200. With me as your leader and prince, you can have the greatest empire that ever existed, and Anu cannot interfere. The period that was elapsed from Gan until now has demonstrated to you that I am not subject to Anu's power. Come now, join with me. We will let this foolish human, Utnapishtim, who is also called Noah, take his own course until it suits me to destroy him. We will first show him that we can take the female living beings and use them as we please. All male living beings will soon join our force, but if any should not, we will put them out of the way. My power will be supreme. You know if that Anu has declared that male living beings shall die, and that your offspring resulting from your cohabitation with these female living beings on the planet Earth shall live on and never die. This pleasurable and seductive argument of Haylal will turn the minds of 200 hosts of Anu, Elyon, Elyonel on the spiritual plane. This was the end of Haylal's speech to the Sarufat. They yielded to him, and they became Garubat, falling from the grace of Anu, Elyon, Elyonel. Exercising their power, they came to the planet Earth by way of crafts as men, called the Anakims or Nephilims. They established a land in the planet Earth, and they called it Bali, after leaving Nod. They were Hindus who had 6 ether straight hair, and they had black eyes and dark brown skin. They were under the rule of the 3 Hindu demons, Brahma, Shiva and Vishnu, who had been coming back and forth to the planet Earth for thousands of years. They are savage animals, and are called Chaldeans demons, coming from the planet Nirvana in Procyon star constellation, stopping off first at Rigel and Andromeda and Kingu. They became known as the original Indo-Aryan race. These 200 fallen Anunnaki Garubat came to the planet Earth by chariots of light, or fiery skyships called Vimanas. The fiery skyships were called Naru by the Sumerians, meaning stones that rise, Naru by the Akkadians, Babylonians and Assyrians, meaning objects that give off light, also Nuras and Amuru, meaning fiery objects. They came and set up in the land of Nod, under the rule of Nadimud. In it was all the delight of that day. It had great bright lights in the sky of many colours, music and all kinds of tasty foods. They had fabrics of many colours never seen by the eyes of Cadmon's children. So the female living beings of Cain went there with their male living being folks, But they, the 200 fallen Anunnaki, only killed the male living beings. They were mighty men indeed, and they walked about in the land, taking the account of the situation, and they were preparing to carry out Haylal's advice. They raped the female living beings and took them back to a land called Kish, and observed that they were voluptuous, attractive and alluring, but most of all, they were agreeable in their hearts. They would of course exhibit to the female living beings their powers, that they might be greatly admired by the female living being. The mind of the female living being is easily turned by a usually strong, vigorous and attractive man. These male living beings were virile giants, Garubat. Amongst the children of the male living beings, there was none to compare with them, so the female living beings fell easily victims to the Hindus' flatteries and seductive speech, and the record does not disclose that they made any objection to becoming their wives. They thought it was a great thing to have a child by these fallen Anunnaki Garubat, and Seth's seed would do the same thing in later time, and daughters were born unto them, and they were agreeable and beautiful in their hearts, and they took by force wives, all which they chose from the first land of Cush, Ethiopia. Now later, the sons of the agreeable Anunnaki, 23 in number, were also at the speech of Azazel, now called the Bliss in the Sanskrit tongue, the language of the 200 fallen Anunnaki. But he had his scheme, and I had my scheme. I sent down my 23 to the planet Earth from Ilion, in the land then called Mecca in Arabia, with great wisdom, knowledge and overstanding. They too were giants, Sarufat, in wisdom. They spoke of how the stars appeared in the sky 144 billion years ago, and they explained childbirth and the fruit 42,000 years ago, and they spoke of my plan for male living beings and the future in love and peace. They taught the Tarites called Mumin, or El Muminuna, the faithful one, who are also called Yaa-Nun, Amen, or Amin. They taught them what herbs are good for you and which are bad. No great lights, dancing or wild music existed for them. They gave them only wisdom, and some of the women came to them, for they remembered the stories of the elders Anu or An, their heavenly one, Enlil and Enki, and their half-sister Ninti, also called Ninhursag, who was also known as Mamu or Mum or Mama from the skies. They would not be deceived by Zu, who arrived on the planet Earth at the Mount of Eka of Enlil, who they trusted in him and they were deceived. The tablets of destinies from the preserved tablets clearly prove the fact that the disagreeable sons of the Anunnaki appeared on the planet Earth in Mu or Mu, flying things, as giants in the form of men, and that these Kuthites took by force the daughters of the Tarites, of who they chose for their wives also, and that they gave birth to a Gibborim, of which was Lilith, the wife of Antum, and the disagreeable daughter of Sud, who was conceived by the rape in Ur of Chaldea, not to be mistaken with Sud, who is also known as Mother Ninti. Those beings were handsome fellows, attractive to the women, tall, dark and handsome, muscular of body, big in size with long black straight hair. When these giants cohabitated with these vigorous women, the result of the offspring were mighty but disagreeable men, Anakites, Hindus, worshipping the moon deity. After them, the 23 agreeable Anunnaki of Elin came down from Pleiades and set up the land of Gadash. When in time it came to pass that the Adamites became multiplying all over the surface of the ground on the outside of the enclosed garden, and many daughters were born unto them, and the sons of the disagreeable Anakites saw the daughters of the Adamites that they were very agreeable and beautiful in their hearts, and they took them by force to be their wives, all that they chose, the seed of Anaph, Nekeba's mother, the Hawilawites, or the Dogon tribes of Mali. Beneath the planet Earth, there were ships which were originally called Mor, that came and went, and they entered into the center of the world known as Apsu, Kanergi, and Argata, having its own sun by north and the south polar entrance. This inner world was headed by a leader who was to take down all of Haylal's power in time. The pages describe them as thus: there were giants in the planet Earth in those days, and also after that, when the agreeable sons of the Anunnaki Sarufat came into the daughters of the Pygmy and the Cushite tribes, the same became Gibborims, the mighty men, Atlanteans, also called Sham, from above, from there, up there, or translated in Aramaic Hebrew, of the rocket ship, which were of old called the men from there. In Salam they dwelt in Mu, meaning one who is of Salam, peace. The holy place inhabited no more than 59,999 plus Malachi zadok, 60,000 in all, called Muslims or Muslimites, not to be mistaken for the Mohammedan religion. These 23 sons of Eli and Elianel, called commuters or messengers, appearing in the form of mortal men and forming alliances with women and cohabitating with women for the purpose of bringing forth the children. Thereby they departed from their first estate to win the estate of the sons of the Anunnaki on the spiritual plane. This new place on earth was called Gadash, the holy place. The other 200 Garubat were disagreeable Anunnaki which fell down and were cast to the planet Earth, mixed in with the seed of the women of Cain's seed, because that was part of Haylal's plan in that part of the planet Earth called Nod. They became Haylal's allies and his servants. Thereby he became the disagreeable one called Haylal. Their rites were called Hinduism, after the river of the dead, the Ganges, in the land of the Hindus. Their leaders were the princes of the evil ones called Zu, Guru, Swami and Imams. These disagreeable ones appeared as human giants also, and they produced a race by cohabitating with the female living beings of the Tarites in Sauda, or outer fields of Sudan, of the seed of Fatah, the father of Nekeba, whose rites were called Nawupu, the way of the Tarites. The Hindus would in a short time be able to dominate all the peoples of the planet Earth, who would yield to them together with their offspring, the demon seed from the 6,000 years of the second moon cycle. They debauched the human race, turned their minds away from me, and they caused them to indulge in every conceivable deed of wickedness. The offspring of this unholy union with the male living beings and the female living beings of Cain in the land of Nod that joined with them and became extremely wicked. I saw that the wickedness of the sons of the Adamites was great in the planet Earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of the Enoshite's heart was only disagreeableness continuously. And Cadman repeated to me by my Anunnaki that I had made him on the planet Earth. It aggrieved them in their hearts that the perfect man Cadman, who was made and placed in a perfect home and given the power and authority to refill the planet Earth with a perfect race of people, the planet Earth had now degenerated, and it was filled with violence, and man's every thought was vile and wicked. Amongst all the Enoshites of the planet Earth there was to be one, Utnapishtim, who was also called Noah, son of Lamech, which would have faith in me, and he would remain loyal to me against all opposition. He was to hold himself separate and be free of the 200 Nephilims. Also those who fell down Nephilims to the planet Earth in the same period of time were the shaggy giants, genus Homo, from the 6th star constellation Orion, the disagreeable Elohim Anakites, after the rape of the Adamite Dogon tribes, daughters and sons of the agreeable Elohims from Risk. The 8th planet in your 19th galaxy called Ilion was sent here to breed amongst the mortals. When they had sexual intercourse with the daughters of the Adamites and gave birth to the children with a dual nature, Homo erectus, these Gibor were very powerful because they were the sons and daughters of the Elohim who had existed for what seemed to be an eternity. The Anunnaki had come to Earth from out there by 12 ships of 50 passenger ships out of the mothership called Nibiru, who had become demons in human form to rule Ardat for no more than 6,000 years. Only one of the 4 6,000 year cycles, 2 moon cycles and 2 sun cycles, would put an end to the 24,000 year period for rebuilding your past. A reformer will come in human form, known as the Son of Justice, to guide you back to the right knowledge, and he shall come to raise the lost seed of the Sarufat, the children of the Anunnaki, to fight against the demon seed, the 144,000 in which he will need. Tablet 2. The Extraordinary Sinners. 19 times 1 equals 19. Lo! Woe unto them, the Al-Munafikun, those who separate from the agreeable. They are the hypocrites, and they are referred to as the extraordinary sinners, such as those who turn away, the rejectors, the traders, the heretics, the seducers of many. Hawir is the hell for the Munafikun. He will be cast into the bottomless pit. What will make if you perceive what it is? It is a very hot fire. It is an abyss, a deep place, bottomless. They had an understanding of right knowledge, being welcomed into the family of the Ansaru Allah, the Nubian Islamic Hebrews, and as long as the light shined on them the way they wished, they walked in it. But when the belief became facts and they were confronted with realities, they thrust their fingers into their ears and they ran back into the dunya to slander and receive a seal on their heart and their hearing and a screen over their eyes. Their reward for stepping off the path will be eternal damnation, but Anu is forgiving and merciful if they find their way home. But they became hypocritical and they did nothing for their spiritual health. Their worm shall not die and neither shall their fire be quenched. Tablet 3. Repentance. 19 times 2 equals 38. Lo, but the merciful and compassionate creator of the galactical heavens and the planet Earth, Anu Elyon Elyon provided from the very beginning, alongside the garden, the power of repentance to enable male living beings to escape the former and inherit the latter. It is my chief function to lead you, the seed of Cadman, son of Autumn and Lilith of the Kuthites, to repentance. Before the coming of the great and dreadful day of El-Rab the Sustainer, for it was received by Malachi in the 3rd and 4th degree of the scroll of Malachi. There I will send my own angelic messenger Elijah, and he will turn everybody towards my face, and the Adonai Master, whom you seek, will suddenly enter his temple, the angelic messenger of the covenant that you desired to see. He will come. Yahuwah said so of the angelic army. However, who will be able to endure the day of his coming? Who will be able to stand firm when he, Malachi, is seen in the flesh? For he is just like smeltering fire and like washing soap, and he will dwell as a smeltering fire and as one who cleans silver. He will purify the Kohen sons of Levi and purge them as a goldsmith and a silversmith, that they will draw near unto Yahuwah with the right kinds of offerings justly. Then will the obligations of the tribe of Judah and the city of Jerusalem be pleasant unto Yahuwah. Just like the ancient days, and as in the former years, I myself Malachi will appear unto you as a judge, and I will be against the practitioners of any witchcraft, and against the fornicator, and against those who give false oaths, and those who oppress the labourer in his wages, and the widow, and the orphan, and those that turn away the temporary inhabitant, and against all those who do not respect me, Malachi, out of reverence. This is what Yahuwah of the angelic army said. I am Yahuwah, and I do not repeat myself. Therefore, all you sons of Jacob who are not finished, just like in the days of your fathers, you have turned aside from my prescribed statutes. And also after that, when the agreeable sons of the Anunnaki Saraphat came into the daughters of the Pygmies and the Cushite tribes, and they have not kept them. Return unto me, and I will return unto you. This is what Yahuwah of the angelic army said. But you say, how will we return back to you? All an Adamite rob an Elohim. Yet you have robbed me. But you Kohen priests say, in what way have we robbed you? In payment of a tenth, and in contribution, there is a better curse on all of you, because you have robbed me. The whole Goy, Gentile nation, has come with you, and the whole payment of a tenth part to the treasure. There may be food in my house. Put me to the test, and I will prove myself, said Yahuwah of the angelic army. If I open the windows of the skies and pour out you the blessings, there will be no room to receive it. I will stop the consumer on your behalf, and he will not destroy the fruits of your ground, neither will the vine be loaded with grapes in the outer field. The Goy Gentile nations will call you happy, because on the part of the planet Earth which you live will be very pleasant. This is what Yahuwah of the angelic army said. Your words have been very bad about me. Yet you say, what have we spoken that is so much against you? You have said it is useless to be Elohim's slaves, and what profit is in it for keeping Elohim obligation, and that we are sorry for what we have done mournfully in the face of Yahuwah of the angelic army. As we see it now, the arrogant are the ones who walk happy, yet they that do wickedness are built up. Yes, the Elohim let them get away with it. They, those people who respected out of reverence Yahuwah, spoke up, and Yahuwah listened and heard what they had to say to each other, and a scroll of remembrance was written before the face of those who respected out of reverence Yahuwah and respected his name and knew. Tablet 4. They the true Muslims. 19 times 1 equals 19. Lo, they the true Muslims will be my own, said Yahuwah of the angelic army, in that very day when I will take up my possession, as a male living being spares his own son that serves him. Then you will see the difference between the Zadokites and between the wicked, and between him who serve the Elohim and him who do not serve him. For here the day will come that will burn up as a pot of fire, and all the arrogant ones and all that do wickedness will be stubble. and the day that will come will burn them up. It will leave them neither root nor branch. But as for those who respect out of reverence my name, Malachi-Zadok Yogel, the son of righteousness, Zadok, or Melchizedek will come forth with healing in the corners of his wings, and you will go forth and spread as calves of the stall, and you will crush the wicked. For they will be under the heels of your feet in the day that I will do this, said Yahuwah of the angelic army. Remember the Torah of Moses my slave, which I ordered him in Horeb the desert. For all Israel, you will crush Satan's head with your heel. Behold, I Yahuwah will send you Elijah, one who can foretell the future, a prophet, before the coming of the great and respectful day of Yahuwah. And he, Elijah, will return the hearts of the fathers to their children, and the hearts of the children to their fathers, or else I, Melchizedek Yogel, will come and hit the planet Earth with an utter destruction. Elijah Muhammad was sent, and he did not do it. So I, Melchizedek Yogel, am here, and the whole planet Earth has been hit now. Acquired immune deficiency syndrome, a new scientific term for a biological creation of AIDS. It is the first of the 7 plagues. We will put all evil people and false teachers under our heels. I am Melchizedek, also known as Melchizedek Yogel, having 50 attributes, a Kohen of El, the Most High, the Highest. The coming of Melchizedek Yogel was not witnessed by any Enoshites. Melchizedek organized schools at Salam, patterning them on the old system, which has been developed in the early priesthood temples of the ancient mystical order of Melchizedek. Melchizedek Yogel, as Murdoch, son of Enki and Damkina, gave birth to the concept of one deity, a universal deity, and he gave all the praise to Anu. He was appointed over all the deities, and he named all of them Murdoch. Murdoch was taught by Anu. He was the son of Enki and his wife Damkina, yet he took rule over all the universes, and he restored it back to Anu by establishing the one deity teachings, and that was Anu, placing him above all the Anunnaki, simply the supreme being. Melchizedek had warned his followers to teach about the one Father and the Maker of all, and to preach only the divine through faith alone. However, the new so-called teachers attempted to supplant a slow evolution by sudden revolution. Melchizedek also taught Abraham about the Malitu Ibrahim, or the worship of what the 14th degree, the 18th verse calls the Most High God, who was Anu the Most High. Melchizedek, ruler of Salam, city of peace, he brought forth the bread and wine, and he is the Kohen priest of El, the Most High. Tablet 5, Resurrection of the Dead. 19 times 1 equals 19. Lo, let me speak to you about the 7 hells in the heavens, Shul Abaddon, the pit of corruption, pit of horror, mold of clay, shadow of death. 7 folds is before thy face, instead of the abundance of joy. In accordance, the 7 classes of righteousness are singled out for you, such as the shining glory of the sun, or like unto the moon, or like unto the stars, or like unto the firmaments, like the lightning, like the porches, like the lilies, or like the golden candlesticks. Speaking this way, there's a glory of the sun, or another like the moon, and another of the stars. So is the resurrection of the dead souls.